Hello and welcome to Supreme Commander Forge Alliance Forever. This is the first game of a best of 15 between Adjux and Nexus. The entire best of 15, for some reason, is going to be played on Seton's Clutch with the normal 1v1 spawns, which are mid. And let's see how they do. So, neither of these players played any ladder to warm up, and it just continued playing Setons, which is what they do these days. I think Nexus probably the better Setons player now than Adjux. Sorry for that, Adjux. But 1v1, I think Adjux has proved himself more so in 1v1 than Nexus has. Of course, Adjux has been playing a lot longer as well, so he's had more time, more tournaments, and he's had more success at tournaments. So let's say it does in this 1v1 best of 15 hosted by Moonbear on Meth. So Nexus, one factory, building some mexes, doing a kind of normal 1v1 build order rather than some Seton's mid build order, which is Adjux is already moving to mid right now, and he has a lab moving as well. So still no second factory from Nexus. So Adjux is actually going to have a bit more production. So Adjux didn't instantly walk. He made some power and mexes after the factory and then start walking. But he didn't even stay for the second factory to complete. We're going to get a lot of tree reclaim on the way to the Hydra as well. Very important to do that so that you actually have the power for everything you need. You can see he has 1200 power reclaim and he has, well, he has about 1200 in the bank, but that's gonna drop, so reclaim is actually important. And Nexus similar. Oh, he has a lot more power reclaim. And his Hydra is finished, second factory's up, and his second factory is air, so he's going straight for a bomber, and bombers are very, very good here. And both players actually chose UEF, probably should have mentioned that slightly earlier. Nexus now running out of mass. It's completely run out of mass. You can see his mass points not built. I think that's a bit of a fail build order actually. That is a bit of a fail. 7 P-gens and this Hydra back here. That's a lot of power without any... Yeah, Nexus throws in the old XD because he realizes he kind of fucked up. Adjux looks like his build order wasn't that good, but it was actually perfectly fine because his ACU got to mid basically just as he ran out of mass, and now he has a lot of power. His air factory's up, but this bomber could do some damage. The lab got a single engineer kill, I believe, along the way here somewhere. He lost his scout, but the mech marine lives, and he's going to be annoying around the back. He can also destroy a lot of trees with that thing. Scout is up, and she putting a lot of assists on his air factory now. No mexes. And oh, look at that. He's gonna edge build a naval factory down here. Actually quite a nice idea. Here comes the bomber and the scout. I assume is already, yeah, it has already, because the target is locked and that engineer goes down. Denies the mechs as well. And more targets are queued up. Here's one. This guy's dead. No dodging. Nexus probably could predict that that guy would be under attack, to be honest. Could do a bit of dodging, but oh no. This looks very, very bad. Oh, there goes 3, and there's so many grouped up here. Oh no! Oh my god, 8 kills. Fucking hell. And... oh no, please. One more kill. And Patrick says he's going to go nerf the UAF bomber. I do think the UAF bomber is probably the best with Seraphim now. Nexus now sending in his air because he saw the transport and he's going to kill it. And he's probably going to be making his own transport very, very soon. Adjux throwing up a PD. When he got to mid, he got some reclaim and then built a factory. I thought maybe he could have, maybe he should have gone for the PD straight away. I'm sure he needed to get more build power up and stuff like that, but maybe a PD up here would have been better because he was so much earlier than Nexus. A PD would be very annoying for Nexus to deal with. He'd have to, he probably wouldn't have art. Well, you can see he doesn't have arties ready, so would have had to wait all that time to get arties to the front. Could have maybe slowed Nexus down a lot because now he's pretty free to reclaim a lot of mid because this PD is so far back. And actually, if he got some OC, maybe he could get rid of that. But Adjux well ahead on reclaim, and his scout, his transport scouted again. I don't know if Nexus has targeted it. Well, he's wary. He has some inties around, looking for that transport.
Commander under attack.
And Nexus has his own transport. He actually already has an engineer here as well, and an engineer here with a factory. So Nexus expansion is looking pretty decent right now. And he's slightly in range of that PD. Adjux stealing his mass, doing a great job. Nexus really eating a lot of fire. This is not good at all. This is very, very not good. Jesus Christ, dude. Alright, there we go. Yeah, so this is basically the range of the PD, this Omni range. So be careful. Or maybe it's actually slightly more than the Omni range. But anyway, Adjux. Well, Nexus has the power lead. That's really important on a map with this many mexes. So you can see Nexus 100 power income ahead. If we go to Adjux, oh, his expansion, contrary to Nexus, is quite bad thanks to the transport kill, the bomber. Adjux had to replace a lot of build power and also had to rebuild the transport, and then after rebuilding the engines, he has to put them on the transport then. So that bomber hurt him so much, coupled with the transport snipe, the island getting taken. Nexus dropped here and then his transport was well sniped by Adjux. So he'll get the island, but he won't get a drop away to this position here, which is quite common on Seton's 1v1 to drop your opponent's side there because it's quite far from the base, one of the last places taken generally. So you can actually get a base here quite often if you really aim for that and go fast. Adjux is under huge pressure. Nexus going to surround him. I think this is a rip indeed. Oh, well, that's one common way for Setons to end in 1v1. And that is the end of the first game. And I think that's actually not really an unfair victory. I think Nexus was in a really good position. Even without this, without the game-winning move here. I mean, well done to him for taking the chance when he got it, but Adjux was in a bad way expansion-wise if you compare both sides. Also, no T2 Mexes here. And Nexus has 2 already in his base, as well as a lot more T1. So, well played, Nexus. And we will move on to the next game. That's T2 land as well. T2 land is not done for Adjux either, so yeah, I think that was not a suicide, just a clean win from Nexus, really. The early air did the job. So let's move on to the next game. This one a little longer. So maybe Nexus will have a slightly better build order, so he doesn't have so much power and so little mass. Maybe like first NG mid is good on Setons. Just walk the whole way. Could grab a few trees as well on the way. You can take some reclaim before, well, without needing to take it with the ACU straight away. Adjux build order I expect will be similar. Well, we have both factions the same again, UEF. Same spawn, same faction lot, I don't really know. I guess they have random spawns between top and bottom. Because actually, you can see here, bottom hydro is closer. I think there's, yeah, this is quite a bit further than this. She just top in general just has worse hydro spawns. You can see here. It's a lot closer. So if you get the top spot on Setons, you have to win. Otherwise, you suck. The hydro is closer. And some reclaim. The trees are a bit broken already, thanks to the fire. Forest fires. Second air looks like for Nexus again. It worked last time. Adjux, second land again. Didn't work last time, but he believes he can do better. I think his build order was better, but he just did not kill that bomber, did not deal with it at all well. Scout just chilling, no lab for Adjux this time, so gonna have a little bit of a better base because of that. So he's gonna be able to expand more, reclaim more, build more. Yeah, very heavy on engineers. Look at that. I like it. It's going max engineers. In the early game, engineers are your economy. You need them to expand, get your mass income, and you need them to also spend that shit. So that's why you see people make a metric fuck ton of engineers on heavy mass maps, heavy reclaim maps. And the more you can be greedy and make a lot of engineers at the start of the game, the more it's going to help you. Because you will have more tanks or economy or whatever later on. A lot of build power. He probably could expand a whole lot faster with all these engineers. I mean, it's kind of, but it looks good though. Looks good. And the transport is out quite quickly. So he's not going to walk any engineers. Here comes the bomber from Nexus. He didn't go straight for the bomber, I guess. Not this time. And now we have Nexus arriving in mid later than Adjux once again. The bomber is coming. And there's nothing walking on this side now. Adjux did just waste a few inties. Maybe he was just trying to find the timing of the transport, thinking that his own transport was already done and out. So he's thinking, well, this is probably when Nexus would also be going for his, but Nexus is not. You can see Nexus has 4 engineers walking at different locations. There are some lag issues in this game, unfortunately. Now Nexus saw the transport, but it looks like he didn't lock it on at all. Oh, 5 engineers aboard. Adjux kind of slow with the transport and also kind of slow with that mech. Built it like quite a while ago. I think it was idle a little bit in the base. Oh, this bomber is lurking. Oh, it's got spotted already, actually. I think the scout spotted it. Nice work from Adjux. Ooh, there's an NG. Doesn't matter. Bomber goes down. Good stuff from Adjux. And reclaim Adjux is ahead once again. So he got there quite a bit earlier. And this transport, oh, it's actually, now it makes sense. There's 2 transports, so this was the second one. Oh, there's fucking 3 transports. That's a lot of drops. Adjux going ham right now. Dropping everywhere. Nexus hasn't dropped a single thing in any location. Just been walking. Still some reclaim left in mid to be grabbed. Quite a few forward engineers, and they're going to be quite helpful getting this base up. Nexus taking a lot of fire, and he's almost 4k less HP now than Adjux. That's a big deal for Adjux. Means he doesn't have to be so scared of dying here. Nexus has to be very careful. Does look like Nexus has more units coming to the front, but now all this forward production should help, and there's PDs to fall back to. Another drop here. Oh, this engineer has been forgotten about. Yeah, that's the thing about dropping everywhere. You then not only have to give all the orders to drop, but then you have to move the drops. Look at that. There's some tanks here. That could be very annoying. We have a drop from Nexus, probably going to the island and maybe to expand to these mexes. Oh, Nexus pushing now with the unit advantage. Adjux staying close to the water so that he can just peace out if it gets a bit too hairy. And it looks pretty hairy right now, although Nexus lacking Lobos. They're coming to the front now. He needs to get rid of all these PDs if he's going to roll over this. Still some T3 Rex, there's some Loyas. And T1 Rex as well to be grabbed. More drops. Here's one here. Don't know where this one is going. The Inties scramble. But there's no fucking way they're getting to that. And these units are going to be very annoying. Here's some tanks finally getting those move orders. Transport gets killed, but the drop is already doing its damage. And the thing to do with all these tanks is really just spread them out. Just stick one on every mech more or less and do some damage, kill some engineers around the back and run away from any reinforcements. Adjux is going for T2. He has a lot of assistance. He has... Oh, Nexus is just walking right into a lot of units here. And T2 finally complete. And these PDs are doing quite a lot of damage. A lot of tanks running into range here. But 3 of the 4 PDs are now down. Look at this guy, 14 kills. And Nexus is actually moving in on Adjux's comm. I don't think that's going to work. Adjux can dip into the water. There's not many units left. And... Oh, 2 PDs here need to be killed pretty sharpish. Adjux dips into the water. Nexus now, can he secure the reclaim? Well, his units are moving in the wrong direction. Oh, he gave an assist order with all these tanks to his fucking T2 engineer. That is fucking terrible. He needs all these units at the front right now. Because now Adjux just comes out of the water and he's going to secure the reclaim field with T2 PD. And that's going to be a fucking rip. Another drop here. These tanks just getting vets. So many missing mexes. So many kills on these tanks. And the T2BD is just going to completely secure mid. All the reclaim will be Adjuxes. He'll have more expansions. More mexes on his side. And Nexus doesn't even have a commander upgrade. And it looks very bad for Nexus right now. The only thing Nexus has is some T2 mexes. Of course, he never... I think this guy spawns with T2 mexes half the time. So he has that at least, but not much else. Look at just these few T1 tanks and they're all getting fucking vets and shit. As Nexus just makes T2 mexes everywhere. Holy shit, he's really is making them all over the place. But, oh, god damn, no. No. That's depressing. Just 4 T1 tanks. I mean, make a couple bombers or something. Just, if he just had... He literally had 3 bombers, all these tanks would be dead so long ago. T1 bombers are very good at... very handy for killing shit like this. He's kind of raised to get in behind you. On any map, but certainly on this map, good. Next is retreating from the front with his ACU. Maybe he'll go for an upgrade. Getting the guns, Sparkies. Oh no, not Sparkies, just T2 engineers. Much better to make Sparkies to do this stuff because they have more build power. And of course, guns, jamming. Just a better unit all around. Extremely fast as well. It's one of the underrated features of the Sparky is the fucking speed of them. Like T2 engineering lab mantis. Drop from Nexus. Not going to do half as much damage as what's been done to him. It's just retaliatory measures here. Took Adjux's idea, but it's a lot less powerful when it happens at 13 minutes rather than like 6, 7, 8 minutes into the game. That has a lot more impact. But still better than nothing for sure. T2 PDs, T1 PDs to defend them. And maybe not the best army formation here. T2 engineers are going to die. I think in scenarios like this you just want to build T1 PD without the template just for speed's sake. Need to get as many T1 PDs down as possible. Now we do have bombers. Oh, T2 drop full, T2 transport full of pillars. Lands in the back base and there could be several dead T2 mexes here if Nexus is not careful. Now we turn to Navy a little bit. Now most of the fighting is still happening on the land. T2PD battles, MMLs for Nexus, and the gun. But yeah, we have gun versus T2 now. And it looks like Nexus production maybe is superior. You can see the pillars can actually deal with PD in many cases, and needs to hang around and focus down these T2 mexes as he is doing. The T1 bombers and actually a gunship come in. Look at this, 3 kills, almost on his second vet. Janus comes in and lays down some napalm on Nexus army. Navy though, Adjux. Oh, somebody needs to take this island, but Adjux looks to be, well, it's starting to eco a bit harder. Nexus taking so much damage that these T2 mexes are... I mean, if he kept them alive, I think he would be in a decent scenario, but he lost upgrading mexes back here. This one was almost finished. He's now lost 2 T2 mexes. So it still looks quite bad. I think he needs to do do some damage here to Adjux. A lot of the eco actually is on this side, and you can see he's not upgrading these ones, upgrading a bit further back. And at the back base also, that's where he's making upgrades. And looks like quite good radar coverage for Adjux as well on his side. And now gunship raiding. I like the look of that. Now one thing about gunship raiding is that actually you can defend it with gunships. Not something you see people do very often, but you can do it. If you got a gunship in the area, you can get it to attack other gunships. Nexus, decent radar coverage as well, but how can he needs to split his inties into many different places or get static defenses up. Now will we see, well, Nexus is grabbing a lot of reclaim here, a lot of dead pillars and T1 tanks as well here. But Nexus is grabbing, is still behind on reclaim though, and that's a nice drop. But these are all T1, so he needs to really keep going and kill all of these T2 mexes if this is going to be serious damage. The arties are getting killed, and they actually put out most of the damage. See the Lobo, when they're this close to something, the shells seem to split into very distant locations for some reason, which wastes a lot of damage actually. Looks like maybe 2 T2 mechs are going to go down. That Lobo dead. Oh my goodness, it is going to die. Just about the very last shell from that Lobo before it died. So overall not that much damage, but still decent. Good fast reaction from Adjux using his air there. Nexus has the eco lead. Oh, we have another drop here. That was a T2 drop as well. And I think these are all T1 mexes that went down. Here's some more tanks here. Oh, there's an upgrading mex that could be killed, but again, gunships dealing with these drops pretty quickly. Looks like this gunship cleaned up the island, but we don't have a drop yet. And on the bottom side, there's no navy whatsoever from Nexus, so it might be time for Adjux to go T2 navy on south and just start making cruisers. There's not even an attempt from Nexus to make navy here. I would definitely like to see cruisers right about now. Also, people need to be thinking about T3 air. Wow, it looks like everyone is in this fucking game actually. Foley is there. Geeb as well. Yeah, I definitely think it's time for T2 Navy. T3 air started from Nexus. So T3 PGen time. And he's probably gonna just upgrade every mex to T2 shortly. Here's another drop, and a lot of inties coming in as well to maybe cover this drop from gunships. Still no upgrades on these mexes. But there's a few T2 mexes to be killed. There's a lot of gunships around, and actually Adjux has a lot of T1 air, and he's gonna move in and take out Nexus's air, isn't he? Or not? A lot of Nexus antis are out of fuel. And the land armies in mid have still been building and building. So we have 60 pillars, 16,500 mass of units right there. About 4k less, about half the pillars for Nexus, and his AC is walking away from this fight. He has to be here, otherwise I don't think he can hold it all. And it's time for some PDs right now. Again, T2 engineers instead of Sparkies. That's not very good. Have a bit of an air fight, but it's happening right over a governor for Nexus. Governor gonna get quite a few kills, but Not quite the same as fighting over a Seraphim cruiser, but still good for Nexus. And he actually still has some inties alive because Adjux retreated from there. But all those gunships from Adjux are coming towards the front, and so are all the pillars and arties are moving in. And there's one T1 PD. There's no T2 PD at all here, and there's no flak either. Nexus taking a huge amount of damage, and now the gunships are on him as well, and he is dead. Well, that looked like classic Nexus with a lot of eco, and probably too much eco really, which just led to having far fewer units. He had so few pillars in comparison to what Adjux had there. In the navy on the top side was pretty even. I don't think Adjux or Nexus had, well, yeah, Nexus had a lot of cruisers here, didn't he? So he had spent more on the top navy. I think he'd spent more on his T2 mexes as well, and Adjux spent a lot more on his pillars. And also on T1 and T2 air. And got the kill. So, yeah, Nexus was just not ready for that size of an army, I guess. And didn't have time to react with PDs and stuff. And maybe if he had like a shield ACU, would have been able to hold that. But as it is, he goes down, and that is 1-1 in the series. And that's where this video will end. I will probably cast the whole series. And yeah, so stay tuned. This has been part 1 of the Nexus vs Adjux Best 15 on Seton's Clutch. Hope you enjoyed, and tune in for part 2 pretty soon. And thanks for watching. See you next time.